Now, as I mentioned, the line past is not really used that much with I realized because I realized is more typical of a point in time, an event where you weren't knowing something and then suddenly something happened, gives you that dot, and now, okay, then I realized. So it's typically a dot. However, we'll quickly run through the line past just in case you need it or just to cover it in full. So to say I was giving, that would be daba. Remember, this is coming from the verb dar, to give. So I was giving daba. Get that aba sound, daba. Then we make it reflexive, so it would be me daba. And again, add cuenta. So to say I was realizing, it would be me daba cuenta. This daba gives us a line in the past. I was giving myself account. Me daba cuenta. How would you say you were giving? Dabas. Now try to say you were realizing. Te dabas cuenta. So we took dabas, we made it reflexive with te, and then added cuenta. Te dabas cuenta. You were realizing it. He was giving. Daba. He was realizing. Se daba cuenta. How would you say he was realizing it? Se lo daba cuenta. He wasn't realizing it. No se lo daba cuenta. We were giving. Dábamos. I think that we should have an accent over here. Dábamos. So that's we were giving. Now we were realizing. Nos dábamos cuenta. Again, I missed my accent here. Nos dábamos cuenta. We were realizing. How would you say we were realizing it? How would we change this? It would be nos lo dábamos cuenta. We were realizing it. They were giving. Daban. They were realizing. Se daban cuenta. Now try to say again. They were realizing it. What would you change? So this would be se lo daban cuenta. Again, we're hooking the pronouns together up front. Se lo daban cuenta. They were realizing it. Let's finish out with a live demonstration again. And the first thing I'll do is actually place cuenta into red, seeing that this never changes. So what we're messing around with is the verb dar, mostly because this is a reflexive verb, and then the se becomes either me, te, nos, or se, right? One of those four for our reflexive pronouns. So in the present tense, I realize, so we have doy, right? I give myself. I give to myself. Me doy cuenta. So this is, I give myself account. It's how they express I realize. Me doy cuenta. And then you simply conjugate doy, das, da, damos, and dan in the present tense and change your reflexive pronoun appropriately. So me, te, nos, or se. For example, they realize, this would be themselves, and then this changes to dan, se dan cuenta. They realize. Or you realize, so this goes now, te das cuenta. So you see we're playing around, conjugating this irregular verb in the present tense and just adding the appropriate pronoun here to match, make it reflexive, while cuenta all the time is remaining stable. Now, into the future, go back here. So darse cuenta, this is the full verb, right? So we use our handle now. I'm going to realize. So we have voy a, and the only thing now that we need to play with are these pronouns. So here, I'm going to give myself account. voy a darme cuenta, or I'm going to realize it, hook it on like that, voy a dármelo cuenta. So we're playing just with the handle, which we already know, voy a, vas a, va, vamos a, van a. And everything here stays the same except that we play with these pronouns. So me, or te, or se, or nos. And we can also add double pronouns like melo, tello, sello, noslo, like that. Then we have what you'll use mostly for I realized in the past, this dot. Okay, so we have di for I gave myself account, me di cuenta, for I realized as a dot, me di cuenta. This now goes to diste for you gave, so te diste cuenta, you realized, you gave yourself account. Se dio for he realized, she realized, or it realized, se dio cuenta. And of course, se lo dio cuenta for he realized it or she realized it. This comes up front now. Melo, tello, sello, noslo. Then lastly, we have this line in the past, which you won't use very much. And we get this aba sound. So we have daba, dabas, daba, dabamos, and daban. And again, you just add in your reflexive pronouns up front. So se daban cuenta, they realized. Aside from trying to summarize this module on this reflexive verb to realize, which I realize can be confusing, I also want to take this opportunity to express to you how important it is that you build solid foundation. Because if you were struggling with just conjugating the verb dar, well then the rest of it becomes really, really hard, because you're already spending a lot of mental energy focusing on how to conjugate this irregular verb. And then on top of that, you're stacking extra complexity because you're having to work with your reflexive pronouns and also doubling up pronouns too. So very quickly, the learning curve becomes like Mount Everest. Instead of a nice, easy, gentle pathway upwards, it becomes really, really steep, really hard going, and you start to feel that it's really impossible. Like, it's not a nice experience, right? It feels awful. So if you are experiencing that, again, it's a sign that you need to go back and revise, either starting with conjugating this irregular verb or also with your reflexive pronouns and pronouns where we hook them together. So it's very important that you have each of those foundation bricks really solid, set, like you have them deeply learned. Because as you can see, when we start to add extra complexity, that's when you're really going to thank yourself for putting in the extra work before to solidly learn, deeply learn these other things. Because you can see how quickly the learning curve can get very steep. So that's why we need to make sure that we deeply learn each module before we go on to the next one.